Vin Diesel's career has been really interesting to sort of follow along the years because in between the Fast and the Furious films, which definitely pay the bills for him, he has done a lot of really cool science fiction stuff. He's also done some really good, just general films. He's a pretty good actor once you get him outside of the box that is that, you know, family character. And this is one of those films, Babylon AD. It's also directed by a guy who I will always remember as being the crazy dude in Fifth Element who shows up at Bruce Willis's door with the gun poster on his head. Just the psycho man trying to sell a weapon. But it's directed by Matthew Kassovitz, who is a French director. This is a French film. Vin Diesel is in the lead role, but it also has Mélanie Thierry, Michelle Yeoh, Lambert Wilson, Mark Strong, and a really cool sort of, not quite a cameo, but a small role with a really bad wig, and Gerard Depardieu with a even bigger nose than normal. Um, it's based on and I've never read this. It's it's based on Babylon Babies, which is a novel, I guess, in a series. But essentially, it's a really interesting science fiction. It's kind of a dystopian. If you've ever seen Children of Men, which I'm going to be rewatching with Chris soon, because she doesn't remember it, and I love that film, and it's in the same vein. So it'll be showing up here on the channel soon. But this is like a dystopian science fiction future where pretty much everything is kind of just not a nice place to live. It's not a nice place to live. Europe has become this sort of completely war torn state, and it's basically kill or be killed. Only the strong survive. And his character, Vin Diesel's character, is essentially a mercenary who has made a name for himself, but he's kind of sort of retired or whatever. And the film picks up with him sort of living his life um, off in the wilderness somewhere. Apparently, he's been banned from uh, living in the United States anymore, branded as a terrorist. And this guy, Gerard Depardieu's character, shows up and says, "Hey, man, I've got this contract, and I'll get you a passport to go back home." And he's essentially so tired of the mercenary life that he's like, "Fine, I'll do it. I want to go back home and retire." And the cargo is this girl that he's supposed to transport from this convent to the United States. And Michelle Yeoh is her guardian. And this is where the science fiction element of this comes into play. Because there is still a lot of Vin Diesel playing an action sci-fi hero here. So there's some hints of um, that character from the Fast and Furious franchise, that Toretto character. But at the core of this is also a really cool science fiction tale of a church that is completely corrupt and attempting to manipulate the people in any way possible to earn billions of dollars, and just a place where no one can be trusted because everyone is out there trying to get money from you or to survive. And I think nowhere is this more evident than when they're making the trek from the convent to the United States. And there's this train that they have to catch to go from one place to another to get to the Bering Strait area, where they then have to catch a submarine to get across. But essentially, they're going through the last part of the last vestiges of Russia, and they get to this train station, and it's just chaos. There's like fight pits and human cattle markets and all sorts of crazy stuff going on. There's explosions, like a bomb goes off, and no one seems really fazed by it. It's just not a nice place to be. Now, this movie has a lot of really cool action sequences that take advantage of both of its lead characters. Even though Michelle Yeoh's not necessarily the lead, she's definitely a lead character in this film. So, yeah, we got some, gunfights and action sequences with Vin Diesel doing what Vin Diesel does, but there's also stuff with Michelle Yeoh doing what she does best, which is kicking ass and taking names with martial arts. And there's also a really cool parkour sequence here. And threading throughout this is, originally he thinks he's just transporting this girl, right? But then you start to find out stuff like when these parkour guys try to steal her from them at the train station, and they mention her father, and she's like, I have to go to trying to find out what's going on, and eventually he gets her back. And through it all, the girl, who is this actress right here, starts having, like, like she's got stuff happening. Like she sees, she's able to like sense things before they happen. She can speak an ungodly amount of languages and all this stuff. And he's starting to freak out because he's like, what is going on with this chick? Because this is not normal. And over the course of this story, we find out that she is essentially the brainchild of this crazy scientist who was hired by the church to create, basically, to meld AI with a human body. And she is the result of, basically, she's completely human and organic, but she was trained by, she grew up in the womb with this computer. And so she's basically a human computer. And we don't find out until almost the very end of the film that she's carrying twins. Quick commercial break, everyone, to give a shout out to our first official guild officer, Bubalonia, as well as all of the guild champions, and of course, all of the members who help keep me on the air full time. To join as a member, simply click that join button below and pick your tier, but you can also support with super chats on any live stream or premiere, or super thanks on any upload or YouTube short. Don't forget the Discord. Let's get back to the video. And the twins are part of what's governing her abilities. And the scientist who built her, essentially, who fabricated her, was hired by the church to create this, perfect being so that they could control the masses. They wanted to create a messiah, essentially. And they decide that they're not going to deliver her to the church. And so then it's this sprawling gunfight between, like, mobs and gangsters and the church mob, and all trying to get to the girl, and he's trying to protect her, and Michelle Yeoh's character's trying to protect her. And of course, she gets sacrificed along the way. There's a lot of really good science fiction storytelling here at the base of this, which makes me wonder if I should go read the book series at some point in time, if I ever find the time. But at the core of this, and this is a 2008 film, so this was back before um, the Fast and Furious franchise had really taken off and blown up and become this huge thing that takes up most of Vin Diesel's time. Because he used to do a lot more of these types of films, and he still does once in a while. But that is such a juggernaut of a film franchise. They were interviewing Ludacris one time, and he's like, "Why do you guys keep making these movies when they're so ridiculed as being just ridiculous and over the top the last few films?" And he's like, "Because y'all keep going and seeing them, and they're billion-dollar movies. Like, no one's gonna stop making them until they stop making money. Like, it's billion-dollar movies, so why would we not keep doing them if the audiences are tuning in for them and watching them?" So that's a big franchise. But like I said, this was back when he was still doing a lot of other stuff. And this is one of those films that sort of never rose through to the top as like one of the, it's not one of those films that everyone went and saw. And I saw someone had said that they watched this in the theater and thought it was really boring, and I was very confused by that because I don't find this film to be boring at all. I think it's a very cool film. It's definitely a science fiction film, so you have to like the dystopian sci-fi, adventure sort of niche, as it were, if you want to get the most out of this film. But the storyline is there, the action sequences are there, the acting, it's all right. At the end of the day, if I had to give this film a rating, which is kind of what I do here, sort of. I don't always give ratings. I sometimes just say I really like the film. I would give this a solid 8 out of 10. Like, what takes away from it is there are some moments when the dialogue and the acting is a little bit wooden, and a little, you're just kind of like shrugging your shoulders, going, "That's just a little over the top." It's like those things when you look at it and you immediately go, "Oh, that's Fast and Furious style." But it is a great movie. I think you should give it a watch, especially if you like that dystopian science fiction stuff, because at the core of it, it does have a really cool sci-fi story. It's held up pretty well over the years. It doesn't have any over-the-top CGI that makes it age. So it still looks pretty good even in 2023. I highly recommend it. Love to hear your thoughts if you've already seen it. Drop those comments down below. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you never miss an update as I continue to review films, TV shows, in between all the games we play and everything else we do here on the channel. So check them all out. Join the Discord. Links are down below. I'll see everybody in the next video. Till then, stay safe. Happy viewing.